Hello everybody, James Walker here, political reporter for The National. And I'm here in Edinburgh today. I'm outside Queen Elizabeth House, just in the centre of Edinburgh near Waverley. If you don't know Queen Elizabeth House, it's essentially the UK government's hub here in Scotland. I think the Scotland office and various other departments based here in Scotland. And now the reason why I'm here today is because of a meeting that's going on just now, the Nations and Regions meeting. Big Keir Starmer summit. The Prime Minister is up here today for this big meeting. The idea of it is to discuss investment in the nations and regions with the devolved nations across Scotland and Wales and Northern Ireland, across England. The idea is to, this even said in the release yesterday, to reset the relationship between the UK government and the Scottish government, but it's been overshadowed, this meeting today. The reason being is that a lot of Scottish cities, Scottish council leaders feel as though they're being snubbed because a lot of mayors, I agree with the comment, we are not a region, but the name of the meeting is Nations and Regions. This whole meeting has been overshadowed by the fact that a lot of Scottish cities have been excluded from the meeting, whereas a lot of English cities that have, say, metro mayors in places like Manchester will be in attendance at the meeting. The Glasgow Council leader, Susan Aitken, was the first person to sort of express sort of disappointment at this snub. Since then, it's not just sort of SNP figures that are quite angry about it. It's also the Labour leader here in Edinburgh, Cammy Day, is also angry. And I'm here outside a protest. I'm told that a lot of them are around the sides of Queen Elizabeth House. The reason being is that they're trying to catch Keir Starmer as, quote, he sneaks out the back door, one of the organisers told me. So I'm here outside. I'm going to go and speak to some of the protesters and see why they've decided to come out today. Obviously Keir Starmer up here, and yeah, why they're here. Hi, excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Can I ask your name and why you're here today?
David Llewellyn. I'm basically here to protest Keir Starmer coming up and acting like the good little viceroy that he is, looking after keep the colonists and under control.
So obviously it's the Nations and Regions meeting today. I'm sure you're aware that there won't be, obviously John Swinney is at the meeting. He's the sole Scottish.
He should not be taking part in this. I think it's an absolute disgrace. If he's put himself forward as First Minister of Scotland, he shouldn't be running around with Ben Houchen, who's basically has ripped off half of the Teesside thing to the Freeport and made himself millions in it. He shouldn't be sitting at the same table. It's an absolute disgrace.
And is it particularly that reason why you think John Swinney shouldn't be there? But do you think it's also to do with the fact that there aren't any Scottish cities represented today?
At the end of the day, like most of the Scottish cities, a disaster. If you have a look at Edinburgh, you can't drive without ending up doing a pothole. And at the end of the day, when we're independent, we're going to have to get people to actually run the place a bit better than it is already. Because I moved out of Edinburgh because of the state of the place. Glasgow's almost as bad. At the end of the day, we need independence. We can start spending money on our old people, we can start spending on inwards, we can start spending money on our roads, because at the end of the day we'll have to spend all our money on this thing here.
But it's not just that, it's our visitors as well. Nelson Mandela's grandson was invited to Glasgow and Edinburgh and a couple of other Scottish cities to come and speak. And he has travelled with an international visa, a diplomatic visa, around the world. Comes to the UK, is told no. So his tour in Ireland and the rest of the UK has been put into disarray because of it. But the Irish have said, sod off. If we've invited somebody, we're inviting them. And so he's going to the Irish leg of his tour. But here, Swinney is on his knees, and he should be standing up and telling the Westminster government, no, we're not going to take any notice of you. You've got the man's got a diplomatic passport. He should be made welcome. I mean, this is Nelson Mandela's grandson. I've met him, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. But we have been left embarrassed having to tell this man that he can't come over and talk about Palestine and about the genocide that's unfolding. So, but it all goes back to independence, because if we were independent, we could invite anybody we want to our country without interference from people like Starmer in London. How dare he come here? You know, somebody said, oh, this is the colonial headquarters of Britain. It is. We are under occupation. And until the Scottish people wake up and realise that, you know, we're just scattered. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. Could I ask your name?
Yes, it's Yvonne Ridley. I'm with the Alipur Party.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And one of the other reasons I believe that some people are here, I've got Sean Clerkin over here, is obviously the decision by the UK government, by Keir Starmer's government, to cut the winter fuel payment to pensioners. Yes. You were just saying, Sean, to me earlier that, you know, this decision is going to lead to people dying.
Effectively, Keir Starmer and Rachel Reeves are sentencing thousands of Scottish pensioners to death this winter, because Scotland's the coldest part of the UK, and pensioners up and down the land, basically pensioners will definitely die this winter. They won't be able to heat their homes, and they will end up in hospital, and some of them will die. And effectively, Starmer and Reeves don't care if they die or not. And I think that is an absolute crime that Starmer and Reeves are committing. And essentially they're asking pensioners to fork out an extra £500 a year to heat their homes this winter, cutting the £300 of the winter fuel payments and the £190 increase, the 10% increase in energy prices. So effectively thousands of our pensioners are being told you can go and die, and that's what Starmer has done, and that's what Reeves have done, that's what the Labour government have done in Westminster.
And I've also got here, I assume are you David Henry?
I am David Henry.
Hi David. So I just want to talk about what this meeting is supposed to be doing today. So it's the idea of it. So, no, sorry. Just to give it a wee bit of context to the listeners, maybe someone who's just joined. You know, in theory, the idea of this meeting and this nation region meeting is for Starmer to come up to talk about investment in Scotland, investment across the UK. I think he said in a press release yesterday, it's about resetting the relationship. What do you think this meeting is here today, and do you approve of it?
First of all, Scotland's population is less than the size of London, so it's quite obvious that that's one of the reasons why we've only got one person being invited to represent Scotland rather than all the cities around the UK.
Do you think, have you got any issue with that particular element to it then? Do you think there should be a Glasgow City,
first of all,
Glasgow Council leader or an Edinburgh Council leader? Obviously Cammy Day has said they should be there, as has Susan Aitken.
They should certainly be working more productively with the Scottish Parliament, which they're not. I just wanted to pick up on something that was just said, which is that the energy prices issue is actually the Labour Party's fault from the year 2000. They created Ofgem. They're the ones that removed what were the Conservative price controls on the privatised utilities. So it's not just that they went up £190 this year, they doubled in price. We're the only country in Europe where that's happened.
Ofgem's a crime syndicate.
Thanks so much, David. I'm just going to speak to a couple of other people. Of course you can.
Thank you very much. I want to carry on from where you started here, talking about UK government actually coming up here to invest in Scotland. That's the biggest lot of bollocks. The money that's been invested in Scotland by the UK government is actually Scottish money. It comes out of the Barnett formula, it comes out of the money that we generate in Scotland. They're not giving us any presents, they don't give us any presents, they never have. It's our money, and they're dictating how that money should be spent in Scotland, and it's not good enough. We should be doing that. We should be spending money on housing all the people that are sitting on the streets. 50,000 people in Scotland on the streets, homeless. We've got over 1 million Scots in poverty. It's disgusting. and paying all that for their energy. We generate so much energy, it should be free for every single Scot. It's obscene what they're doing, and that's enough. Thanks.
Of course. And could I ask your name by any chance?
Oh, my name's Izzy Miller, and I work with the Freeports Campaign Group.
And could you spell that quickly, just for
ISSY Miller with an E.
Magic. Thank you so much. Thank you. Does anyone else want to speak about why they're here today?
Just have a quick word.
Of course.
You speak first.
Thank you. I think it's entirely appropriate that there's no Scottish cities represented in that building today, because Labour is not a party that represents Scotland in any way. All the messaging, obviously, prior to the election was obviously we need change, everybody vote for Labour in Scotland. People in Scotland aren't foolish enough to believe that Labour will ever represent them again. We're straight back to the bad old days of Blair, endless money for imperial wars, and no money for pensioners, no money for poor people. So yeah, shame on Labour, shame on Starmer, go home, you don't represent Scotland.
Tiny little thing. Do you think Swinney should be in attendance at the meeting, or should he have skipped it in protest?
I would love to see any of our leadership do anything in protest at this government. The day that happens, I will be celebrating. Yeah, any kind of move to show them how absolutely oppressive and cold-hearted their policies are, and how they don't represent Scotland would be welcome.
Thank you so much. And could I ask your name?
Laura Jones.
Laura Jones. Thank you so much, Laura. Okay, so I've just spoken to some of the protesters about why they're here today. When it comes to the coverage of what happens out of this meeting, you can always head to thenational.scot. I need to head off. I'm off to go and see John Swinney, who's going to speak with the press soon enough. I'm going to be asking him some questions to do with whether he's put some pressure on Keir Starmer when it comes to the exclusion of the Scottish cities, and much more. But in any case, if you head to thenational.scot, we'll be exploring everything that comes out today. I will be writing up an article also about this protest. Obviously not an enormous amount of people here. I hear there were more earlier, and I hear that there are some, as I said at the start, around the corner trying to get a video of Keir Starmer leaving, the assumption being, of course, that he won't be leaving through the front door. But yeah, again, thank you for listening, and head to thenational.scot for all the analysis, all the news. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you.